All right, so what is the cloud/cloud computing?
Okay, so what is the cloud? Cloud is so I see it as pooling of resources, whether it be compute, storage, and networking. And by pooling those resources together, you can rapidly deploy them with little intervention from manual IT processes and staff. Comes down to automation and orchestration. That would be what the cloud would be. It's also considered as the as a service model. Cloud is a very interchangeable term. You can even say that for years companies have had private data centers, and that is in itself a cloud. So that would be one way to define it.
We're here with.
Larry Nanny.
I'm going to ask you some questions about cloud computing. What is cloud computing?
Cloud computing, in its most general definition term, refers to a delivery model for IT services that is basically based on a consumption model. So you don't pre-provision the services prior to using them. So it's basically a consumption model that's based on a pay-as-you-go paradigm.
Okay. How does it work?
Basically, cloud computing, an infrastructure that supplies cloud computing is highly virtualized, uses orchestration, automation, and some type of portal so that you can subscribe to the services through a front end.
All right. Who uses it?
Most businesses are either using it or looking at using it. Primarily, it's being used in the development environment right now, but there are businesses that are using it for production environments. There are a number of different types of clouds. There's the private cloud, which is what most large corporations are looking at. There's the public cloud. Most folks know that as the Amazon cloud. There are other cloud providers like HP. And then there's a hybrid cloud, which is a combination of both the internal and external cloud. So businesses use some combination of the three of those models.
Yeah, what are the important issues about it?
The most important issue about it is it's a completely different way of subscribing to IT services, such that you don't need to pre-provision or you don't need to purchase anything prior to when you need it. One of the biggest concerns around cloud computing, especially when you talk about public cloud, is data security.
What is its history? Do you know any of the history about cloud computing?
The history of cloud computing is pretty easy, really. I think it was developed primarily by Amazon, and the way it came about is they had excess capacity in their data centers off of peak, such that they had these computers sitting around, these servers sitting around that weren't doing anything. They decided to sell the service. Basically, that's a compute cloud. There's also storage clouds and so forth, but primarily it came about from Amazon, and other folks have followed suit.
What is your predictions for the future about cloud computing?
That's an interesting question, actually. Some folks think that it will be the primary mode of delivering IT services moving forward. Again, there's different types of clouds. When you talk about the public cloud, that's what most folks think about when they think about cloud. There are a lot of IT organizations within businesses that are trying to rein that in because they now have no control over what their users are putting out on the cloud. So they're actually trying to replicate the public cloud in a private environment. I think that model, the hybrid cloud, where you have a lot of the infrastructure being private and some of it being public, is probably what you're going to see moving forward. It may be the pervasive IT infrastructure as we move forward.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and those are some very interesting answers.
All right, let's recap what we've learned in this cloud computing video. There are types of cloud computing include software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. Recapping some key takeaways. It's based on a consumption model. reduces spending of technology, and provides a host of services to include the following. Some of the advantages and disadvantages will be discussed here. Advantages are it's a pay-as-you-go model, less desktop support, provider responsible for keeping software, less infrastructure spending, almost unlimited storage. Some of the disadvantages, it requires a constant internet connection, does not work well without a strong connection, and it raises numerous concerns. Some of the concerns are security, other concerns are data access and compliance. Who actually owns the data once it's uploaded? And let's summarize. Basically, understanding the concepts, terminology, advantages, and disadvantages of cloud computing will be an asset to the IT professional.